WTIM.
Tim Zalback here on the WTIM Information Station Morning Podcast. And in this one, brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, in this one, I am joined with Ken Fry from the Scoville Zoo in Decatur. And if you're looking at our live stream right now, he's holding up an alligator, a baby alligator, in our studio right now. Mr. Fry, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Doesn't everybody bring an alligator with them?
This would be a first for me, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
It's super good to have you here. And I was told earlier this week, Ken Fry is coming in from the Scoville Zoo. We got many things to talk about, and he's going to bring in an animal. So here's me, maybe some sort of gerbil, maybe some sort of fluffy animal. And then I walk into our front office and I'm looking at an alligator here. Can you tell us a little bit about Pugsley? His name Pugsley.
Yeah, so Pugsley, and there's another one about this I named Wednesday back at the zoo. And they're part of our mobile zoo ambassador animals that we have. We can take out into certain situations like a radio interview. And I love alligators. I think they're one of the coolest animals out there, especially one of the coolest reptiles. And they're almost hunted to extinction back in the 60s, and they were put on the endangered species list, and then they thrived and survived, and it kind of showed that people can actually get behind and save a species of animal. And now there are shows like Gator People and Swamp Things, or whatever those shows are called, and and there's millions of alligators now, and so they've really come back and have done really well. And so I think the really cool thing about the alligator is just like everything they need to survive is right at the top of the head there. There's little bitty slits behind the eyeballs there. Those are the ears and your drums, and of course the nose is right on the top of the nostril there. So if he's floating in water, he can have just his eyes out, the tip of his nose out, and he can hear, he can see, he can smell it all very well, and he can kind of just cruise down a pond or so, just kind of slowly moving his tail back and forth to propel himself forward. Uses his hind feet here to kind of either swim like that or to guide, left or right. His front arms are probably more back by his body, kind of keep him more streamlined as he's going down the water. But I think they're just really cool. And kind of the difference between an alligator and a crocodile, I don't know if you can see his front teeth there on the camera or not, but the top part of his jaw has a lot of teeth that you can see around his mouth. But the bottom teeth are kind of more inside. And with a crocodile, you'll see both bottom and top teeth kind of exposed outside their mouth. And the crocodile's nose or nostril shape is more V-shaped, where the crocodile's is more U-shaped, kind of like that. And then the one thing you can't see, and probably the most important one, is the salt gland. Crocodiles have a salt gland that they can get rid of salt out of their body, so they can swim in the ocean. They can swim in brackish water, which is the mix of fresh water and salt water, and then and in fresh water, where alligators can't. So they have to stay in the fresh water in the lakes and rivers and away from the ocean, and they just can't get rid of that salt out of their body. So that's not part of what they can do. And they're predators. They would they're meat eaters, and when they're small, like this size, they're probably looking for mice and small fish and anything along the shoreline that comes down that's big enough they can grab with their jaws, maybe yank back into the water. When they're really just born, like the 8 inches long, when they're first born, they can like mosquito larvae, just those little bitty squiggly things that you'll see in the water. Those are what they're eating. They'll eat hundreds and thousands of those as they grow up, and then they just keep graduating. The bigger they get, the bigger of an animal they're looking to chomp on, and up to deer, when they get bigger. And so, they're really cool animals. I think the cool thing about the female alligator is when they do lay eggs, they're one of the only reptiles that will guard their nest. And most reptiles like tortoises and things, so they'll lay the eggs, but then they go off, and then once the eggs hatch, they're kind of fending for themselves. Where the female alligator, she'll stay with the nest, she'll kind of maintain the nest, and then when the eggs hatch, she hangs out with the young for about a year until that next group comes along, and then she'll hang out with that next group for about a year. And so they're really good mom, and they're mean, so they really protect them well. He just hit the.
And this is live action right now.
She's
getting a word in on the microphone there.
Talking about his mama. He's walking back. And so the females, and the really cool thing is they can kind of regulate the temperature of the nest by adding vegetation. When they add vegetation to the nest, it starts to decay and produces heat. And when it produces heat, it warms up the nest, and they can pull off that vegetation and make the nest cooler. And by regulating the temperatures, they can actually delegate a male-female sex ratio, because if it stays like in between 86 and 93, stays in that area. They get a 50-50 ratio. Above 93 degrees, they get only males. Below 86, they get only females. And so they can really just regulate the type of animal that they have. So Pugsley's getting a little squiggly here. But they're just kind of cool animals. And that kind of is kind of something they would do if they had an animal in its jaws, kind of just whip it around. And they do that death roll thing where they grab an animal, and the death roll is just to kind of yank it under the water and maybe drown it and hold it underwater. But they really can't chew. So they'll like rip, and that kind of roll thing will kind of rip out a hunk of flesh, and then they'll just open up their mouth and it's kind of like when we're doing the CPR, you have to open up the airway. So they'll throw their head back, open up the airway, and just kind of swallow the food that way, and through the open hole of their throat. And so they have to have smaller chunks of food to be able to do that. And that's why they have to get it under the water, let it kind of soften up, rips off bits and pieces of it, and just swallow a little at a time.
And you said newborn was about 8 inches long. How old are we looking at right here?
Yeah, Pugsley here is about 2 years old, and part of our mobile zoo program that we do have an alligator at the zoo. He's like 11 feet long, about 350 pounds, named G. And there's another female in there with him. She's about 7 feet long, 200 pounds, named L. And she's actually the mean one. And you got to watch out for the girls and in the alligator world. So our keepers will go in and work around G, and he just kind of lays and does his own thing. But L, you kind of have to keep an eye on her, and maybe even bring in a board to keep yourself separated from her. And Pugsley here was actually born down in Florida and came up as part of our mobile zoo program. And and when he gets too big, we can send him back to the Gatorland in Florida, is where he lives.
Totally. You've been talking about the mobile zoo a lot. It got me excited just walking in and seeing an animal where it's not supposed to be. Can you talk a little bit about the mobile zoo a little bit?
We have a mobile zoo program where we take animals out into the communities and usually school groups, school related functions, but we'll do a lot of nursing homes and assisted living facilities and fairs and festivals and those type of things where we'll set up and kids will come up and just and adults will come up and just look at what we have that we brought with us those days. And when we're in classrooms and at assisted living facilities, we'll actually do programs where we actually talk about the animals, kind of like what I was doing with the alligator. I just talk about them for a while, then bring out the next animal and maybe let them touch the tail or of the alligator, or pet a guinea pig, or look at a tenrec, or a little spiny critter from Madagascar, and maybe bring a bird, a kookaburra that likes to yell and scream real loud, and so it's kind of fun just to talk about the difference between birds and reptiles and mammals and amphibians and kind of their habitats. And there's so many different ways you can talk about the animals, and we give what makes a good pet. Alligator does not make a good pet.
Noted.
And so and you just kind of go down the list on those type of programs.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I'm sure any fair or big event you bring these to, you guys draw a lot of attention with.
It's pretty popular right now. We're booked through like mid-August, and so we're now booking out into September and October for the mobile zoo program. So it really has kept us busy this year so far.
That's really awesome. I mean, how could it not? This is you already went through like a little biology of the gator, and it couldn't be any more easier because it's right here in front of us. I'm sure you guys do that every time.
And it's kind of the neat thing about show and tell is you can see the gator, you can see the eyes. I could talk about the eyes and the ears, and but unless you're actually looking at them, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But so it's kind of fun having these animals to be able to kind of show off, and it really makes people, I hope it does, it makes people appreciate the animal and kind of where they come from, and if there is a conservation message about them, we can put it out that time, and or a better way to take care of animals, even the dogs and cats that we have that we're taking care of, or guinea pigs or whatever people are keeping. You can kind of give ideas for them on better ways to take care of them as well.
Well, this has been absolutely great so far. We see Pugsley right here, maybe getting a little restless, but he's looking all right. Actually looking more comfortable than I would have imagined. But we are going to take our first little break here. We'll get right back here into Ken Fry. I know we don't want to take a break right now. This has been so great. But you're listening to the WTIM Information Station. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. WTIM.
WTIM.
Tim Zalabak back here on the WTIM Information Station Morning Show. We are in the second half of our interview with Ken Fry from the Scoville Zoo, and he just put Pugsley away, the alligator. So for the live stream, folks, unfortunately, the show is over. But
No, you can look at me.
but you can still look at the great Ken Fry if you would like. But we've talked so much about the mobile zoo on wheels. That's such an awesome initiative. But let's talk a little bit more about the events you guys got coming up, some of the exciting things.
Yeah, so we're a seasonal zoo. We open up in April and we close down in October. So our school bus season is really busy. It's usually the end of April, end of May. And we had a really good school bus season this year, like over 160 different school groups came to the zoo. And we were real happy with that number. And now it's kind of turning into June, and we still do get groups of people, and we do offer group rates. If you have a group of 10 or more, it is about half price on admission, for your groups of 10 or more. And so it really is a good deal to look at that, and which the school groups do. But now we're offering free admission days. So every Thursday between now and October 5th is a free admission day at Scoville Zoo. And just come. You can come and walk in the zoo and look at the critters. If you want to buy a snow cone or buy a ticket to ride the train, you're welcome to do that, but you don't have to. And we always appreciate when people do, and because that kind of helps us pay for feed for fish for the gators and and all that good stuff. So and that's it's probably a fourth of our total attendance for the year is through free admission days. So it's usually a pretty popular day for people to come. So so come check that out. Also this month we have our Father's Day event that's on the 18th of June. And on that day we have a Dad's Day $2 deal. So dads get in for $2, as do each member of the family. So $2 for mom, $2 for the kid, for each kid. And so it's per person, $2 deal for dear old dad. And that's going to be a fun day on June 18th, all day long. Coming up later in July, actually, we have our 4th of July free carousel day. So on Independence Day, on the 4th of July, regular admission into the zoo, but then you can spin around in circles as much as you want on our carousel. And last year, one girl rode like 10 times, and you just have to get off and get back in line, and and we'll just keep hitting the button, go. And so
might as well if you have the opportunity.
Well, so that's a fun day as well. And then later in July, we have our ice cream safari, and that's on the 16th, Sunday the 16th. And that's regular admission into the zoo again, but between 1 and 4 o'clock, free ice cream as long as supplies last. And the Park District Indicator just opened up an ice cream shop kind of near our Splash Cove and Putt Putt area, and it's called Over the Top Ice Cream. And we'll be getting, my hope is to getting ice cream from the ice cream shop there to use for our ice cream safari. And and so it's going to be a fun event, and people, I think, will hopefully enjoy it.
That all sounds really exciting for just so many summer little things you got going. I wanted to first talk about the every Thursday free admission until October. That's like a long time period. So people that won't get out to the zoo as often, or people that are stopped by they don't want to spend the money on it, that's a great initiative to get going there. You see a lot more people on those days, I'm sure.
Yeah, those days are really usually pretty busy, and which is good. And I think the holdback is our parking lot. We can only hold 180 cars, I think it is. And so once that fills up, people have to either drive around or park at the Children's Museum, or there's a little fishing lot, that holds maybe 20 cars. It's about a block away. They can park there and walk over. And so it's busy on those days. But we appreciate. We just want to be accessible to all folks and all income levels, and a lot of people that show up don't even realize it's free admission. They're ready to pay admission price, and it's free day. I was wondering why it was so busy, but then they get a good deal too, and so then they might ride the train or ride the carousel or do some other additional things that may not have done in the instead. So
it's a fun surprise for people that didn't know about it. It sounds like they're ready to pay, and then they're free admission, and then of course they are more likely to buy food and take the train ride and all those types of things. That's a great way to do it. So if you do the free admission, you're able to still pay for all those fun things. And then Father's Day up next, $2 admission for each part of the family. That's really fun.
Yeah, I think so too. We do have a Mother's Day in May, a Mother's Day deal where moms get them for free on the weekends. And I had one mom say you know, boy, it's just not fair for the dads to have to pay $2. And like, well, it's actually a better deal for dad because they're paying regular price, you know, on your day. And so, you know, it's actually easier on the dad's pocketbook. So if you look at it that way, it's actually a better deal for dad, but we still love our mom. So we want to get them free, and we give them 2 days to get them free on the Saturday and Sunday on Mom's Day weekend. So yeah, it's
almost equally as good, just two different things.
Yeah, different things.
That's fun. That's fun. Yeah, so that'll be $2 per person of the family, including $2 for dad. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And then the ice cream safari just sounds fun in and of itself. We got about a minute left here. I want to get into that before we do final remarks. But you want to use the local ice cream with your safari. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, with the local ice cream shops, ice cream, and they actually get their ice cream. It's Tillamook Ice Cream from Oregon, and they're going to be opening a new ice cream factory in Decatur. So that's kind of the connection at that point. And yeah, the free ice cream will have like 4 different stations. We usually have the Macon County Sheriff's Department out scooping the ice cream on those days, and it's a lot of fun to see them out there sweating and and dipping at the so yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. All right. Would you plug your website and how people can get the information on this stuff?
Yeah, just ScovilleZoo.com, and check out the website. We're also on Facebook at Scoville Zoo, and so we post a lot of updates on there as well. And yeah, just find us and come see us.
Beautiful. That was Ken Fry out of Decatur with the Scoville Zoo. It was such a great interview. This one, I'm Tim Zalabak on the WTIM Information Station. Thanks so much for listening.
WTIM.